G'day guys, welcome to another layout. This one is fast and furious, trust me. It comes together in no time whatsoever. Now, I want to say that anyone could do this. Like, I'm not even kidding. The more you practice a technique like this, the more you'll just go, that was so easy. Why haven't I done that before? So I've pulled aside and I have used, hang on a minute, I'm looking at the wrong notes. Find the correct notes, Karen. This one is, okay, got it. I've got the right notes now. Stop looking, it's fine. Okay, so the thickers that I'm using are Campfire and Hardcover. The only difference between the two is I grabbed the A's out of the brown set and coloured them in black with an alcohol marker. Now, I've done that before and it works a treat. What have I got here? This is the Tim Holtz IDEA-OLOGY. It's a roll of collage paper. It's called Botanicals, and I don't use it very often, but it's really good to give you a little bit of a a little something in the background, but nothing too dramatic. Now, I'm just putting this down with just a stick glue. Just one of your cheap and cheerful ones that you get from, you know, that you buy for your kids for them to go to school. It's just one of those. I have it sitting on my desk, and you know what? It sticks it down just fine and dandy, and it's not going to come off because it's tissue, like it's really thin. I wouldn't say it's tissue paper, but it's a little bit sturdier than tissue paper, but it's got a bit more structure to it, but it definitely tears and dissolves and melts in beautifully in the background. So I love using that, but I only pull it out every so often because it can be quite polarizing. But what I decided to do in today's layout is use just black and silver. That's what my theme was going ahead. Obviously my base is white, and I decided I'm going to pull out and just sort of get back to basics a little bit. So this way, anyone that wants to duplicate what I'm doing, it's uber easy for you to do. Now, I've put some black on my plastic packaging, and what I'm actually using is my gesso brush. Now, this gesso brush is my really wide one, and I used it forever ago, and I didn't rinse the gesso off it, so it's actually quite coarse. But believe it or not, I love that because it gives you those lines and it just creates a different kind of texture. So when I'm looking to just get different textures and different patterns in the background, this works a treat. So as you can see, all I'm doing is layering things up. So I want to get you thinking about things that you might have in your own collections that you would be able to do this with. If you don't have the Tim Holtz rice paper, you might have some magazine pieces. You might have bought an art magazine, you might have an old scrapbook magazine, you might have you could even print something out on your home printer. Like, it's that simple. Just make it whatever colors you decide. If you want to go with black and white, do black and white. It's super simple. It's cheap, it's easy, it's basic, and it just gets you back. So see, at this point, you kind of look at it and go, really? What are you doing there, Karen? Like, that doesn't look, what are you doing? You're just painting over the top of everything. Trust the process. Just trust the process. Now, I put way too much silver down here, but that's okay. This is the MARTE. They are called MARTE Metallic Acrylic Paint. I have the starter set, which it just means I've got smaller tubes basically. And this stuff has shine payoff like no other. I love this stuff, but again, I don't use it all the time because otherwise you'd get sick of seeing it. So I like to show you all different products and all different bits and pieces. So that's what I'm doing with this one today. Now I'm using different brushes. That's giving me different textures. So I've used the gesso brush. I've used a wide, soft acrylic brush. Now I'm using an acrylic brush that's square, so it's got a very square end on it, so it's giving me those straighter lines. So I'm just making marks on the page anywhere you like. I know that I'm going to put my photo through the centerpiece, so I'm pretty much adding my extra bits and pieces around the outside edges. Now, you know that I don't do splatters, but if I can do splatters before I put anything major on the page, I can do it. Now, again, I'm showing you, this is my fan brush. This is my chosen way to get splatters onto my page. Now, what you didn't see is the fact that my phone, I sprayed it with, splattered it with tiny silver spots. So I will have to deal with that later. Whoops. So as you can you see the layers are building? So I've got a little bit of silver, I've got a little bit of black, I've got wide black, thin black, square black, rounded black, a little bit of square silver. Now I'm going to come in with some washi tape. And this is how, now I'm just putting them down straight on there. I haven't put extra glue down or anything like that. So I just wanted to show you that, sorry, if you're wondering what I'm doing, I have my iPad in front of me and I'm watching a true crime thing, and 10 to Life it's called, and it's a podcast. So it's really interesting. It really is interesting. And I put it on purely so I'm just listening, not watching. I can't put a movie on. Of late, if I put a movie on, I get sucked into the movie and I'm not creating at a pace that I would like to be creating at. So now can you see what I'm doing? I'm just adding a little bit here and a little bit there. I pulled out half a dozen silver, half a dozen black bits and pieces, and I thought, we'll see what happens as I build them. It's looking busy, but can you see how I've got the white bit at the bottom left and the white space at the top right? So I'm kind of drawing your eye across on the diagonal from the top left to the bottom right. I'm finding that that's aesthetically pleasing to me at the moment. So creating that sort of diagonal or a line, I will do, like I do this sometimes, I'll go in and I'll do half a dozen pages because something's really appealing to me at the time. And at the moment, that's this diagonal thing, right? But don't worry, it's okay. I'll do something completely different tomorrow. I actually did something completely different on the very next layout, believe it or not, which was done as soon as this one was finished. So now this is where I come in with, it's a little bit of extra color, but not in your face. So it's still along the same lines as black and silver. It is the Stickles, range of Stickles glitter gel, and this one's called Dark Matter. Now it's in a black gel, and because I'm going over the top of black, it's really allowing the glitter and the parts in the glitter. See how you can see the blue and the green and the purple? The blue, the pink and the purple, I mean. It's allowing that to pop forward. So I knew I was going to add that on top. Now can you see that it's just keep going. Just keep going. Just take another step. That's what I'm encouraging you guys to do. When you work with mixed media, okay, I'll tell you, sometimes it doesn't always work. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you go, oh, Karen said to keep going, but I really think this is not working. If you just do a couple more things, worst case scenario, it's just a piece of paper. Bit of paper, a bit of paint, and a couple of bits of washi tape. All cheap as chips. It's something that you can learn to play with a lot more and get some really good results with. Takes a little bit of practice, but it's not the end of the world if you stuff it up and it doesn't look great. It's not the end of the world. So here's another way. This is the way this is the inside section, the outside section of a cut file that I cut for my live that was on the weekend. And if you haven't seen that, that's over in the live section on my YouTube channel if you want to sit and go through it. Obviously, the commenting is there, but that was done during the live. But you can still comment on the video. I'll still get your message and I'll still respond to you. So I'm just adding a bit of a white border around the black border, just to let it see how it just pops off the page a little bit. Now, once this goes down on the layout, wait until you see, this is the part where I say to you, when you do mixed media, you're always going to cover some of it up, because that's where your photo is going to go. That's going to be where your 2 photos go or your 3 photos go. So you're only going to see the bits around the outside edge, you know. So don't be too critical on yourself and say, oh, I can't put that there because it's not working. Trust yourself. Just have trust in the post. It's going to work. It's going to work. Okay, so now I'm coming, this is my title. Now I've had to MacGyver this from 2 separate thickers. Are these thickers? I think they are. Yes, they are. They're thickers. The Campfire and the hardcover. I did buy them, several of them, and I wish I had have bought more now, because honestly, something that I've learnt, buy thickers when they're on sale, and then buy yourself some basic either alcohol markers or Sharpies, whatever you prefer, and you can just change the color of them to whatever color you're using at the time. And that way you've managed to get yourself some thickers. They're cheaper and you can make them work on your layout. It's good. It's a really good way of doing it. So I've pulled out my title and I've put it on a piece of wax paper, purely because that way it's quicker for the video, I suppose. And it allows me to make sure that I've definitely got all the letters. When I'm doing a long title like this with thickers, I like to make sure I've got all the letters. So, and did you see what I just did then? It's good when it's on wax paper because you can see if the word fits the way you've got it set out. And I really like doing that. That's why I like the wax paper. Don't use it all the time. I especially don't use it when I'm cutting out my own title on, you know, like on my Cricut or whatever. But yeah, it's good. So I called this Just Call Me Miss Bean. It's kind of a bit of a play on Mr. Bean. And this was at Christmas time and Ange was being silly. She's my class act, man. She's always doing something silly. So she keeps us laughing, and she had a bean and it got hooked on her chain and it was just funny. So Taylor snapped the photo and I decided that I was going to do something with that. Now I decided that it needs a border. So I'm just going to trim the edges down a little bit and that will work a treat for me. So you'll see that obviously I've trimmed the edges and now it's come in a little bit. It looks a little bit more structured. Then I'm popping it onto some black paper and it's this simple, guys. You can create a layout that easy. If you, like I said, if you don't have the rice paper, that is fine. Use, you could use colored rice paper. You could use a serviette. Have you ever used a serviette and separated the serviette out, or the napkin? If you're in your country, you might call it a napkin. We call it a serviette. You can pull the plies apart. Sometimes there's 2, 3 layers in the serviette. If you get a nice one with a nice pattern on it, you can use that in the background. That goes down beautifully with either the stick glue like I used, or you can use PVA and that will hold it down. You can use that in the background. Then just find some corresponding washi tape or some cardstock that you might want to tear. You could use your 6x6 paper pads and you could do that with it. You could use some scraps, use up some scraps like this. And this is my layout, guys. So let me know what you think of it down the bottom. I'll have everything I use listed below in the description. And my shameless plug, please, before you leave, like and subscribe. we are getting more subscribers there, so we'll have our giveaway at 1,500 subscribers, which will be amazing. So if you have some friends that are, you know, your scrappy friends, even your card making friends, I get scrapbooking ideas from card makers just the same as card makers get ideas from scrapbookers. So, you know, pass my channel around, and you never know, we'll hit the 1,500 and then we'll have ourselves another giveaway. Thanks so much for watching. I'll chat to you soon. Bye for now.